After 25 unforgettable seasons of love, struggle, and family ties, Little People, Big World is back with a season 26 twist that no one saw coming. But this time, the roll-off farm is hiding secrets deeper than the soil it's built on. For years, viewers watched Amy find new love with Marek after her divorce from Matt. The couple seemed rock solid, traveling, laughing, and building a new chapter together. But now an exclusive TLC insider reveals it was all a picture-perfect surface. Behind the smiles and selfies, Chris has filed for divorce. The insider claims the marriage began to crumble over unspoken differences, growing apart, and someone new. Amy, heartbroken but graceful, hasn't spoken publicly yet, but sources say Chris has already moved on, with a woman he met during filming last year. Someone Amy knows. And that's not the only shocker. Fans adored Zach and Tori's sweet love story, raising their children, navigating health challenges, and sticking through it all. But season 26 takes a turn that fans will find hard to accept. Zach and Tori have separated. After years of growing tension, miscommunication, and the weight of living under public scrutiny, the couple is headed for divorce. But what no one expected: Zach isn't alone. TLC's insider says Zach has quietly entered a new relationship with someone outside the Roloff family circle, someone far from the spotlight. The Roloff family has weathered storms before, but this time the cracks are forming in the very foundation of what made the show beloved: unity. Now, as relationships fracture, trust becomes the rarest crop on the farm. Amy say, "I thought Chris and I were building something that would last the rest of our lives. I didn't expect to be starting over again. Not like this." Amy's heartbreak is real and raw, and while she's leaning on her kids for support, one of those relationships is more complicated than ever. Zach's new romance, according to the insider, is creating division within the family. Some close to the show say Tori feels blindsided, that the emotional separation happened long before the legal one. Zach has chosen not to speak publicly about his new partner yet, but TLC crews have reportedly filmed moments with her off-camera, suggesting a mid-season reveal that could shake longtime fans. Meanwhile, tension is brewing between Zach and Amy. Sources say Amy doesn't approve of Zach's new relationship and feels it's too soon, too sudden, too quiet. And what about Matt? For once, the family patriarch is staying silent, but only on camera. Behind the scenes, he's been trying to hold the pieces together while dealing with his own surprise. Karen is nowhere to be seen this season. Could this be connected? The early autumn air at Roloff Farms feels different this year. The pumpkins are still bright orange, but the smiles are harder to find. Amy stands at the porch, arms crossed, watching as production crews set up across the gravel path. Her eyes are heavy, not from age, but from weeks of sleepless nights and unanswered questions. Chris hasn't returned any of her messages since the filing. He's already been spotted with her. Jenna, a former TLC field producer who worked closely with them during season 24. Amy knew they had chemistry, but never thought it would turn into this. Inside the farmhouse kitchen, Zach sits across from Jeremy. The silence is thick. "I didn't want this," Zach finally says. "Tori and I we stopped seeing each other. Everything became about the kids, the cameras, the pressure to be perfect. And then, you found someone else?" Jeremy cuts in, not with anger, but something colder: disappointment. Zach nods slowly. "It's not like I planned it," he says. "She listens to me. She sees me. That hasn't happened in years." Outside, Tori is packing the last box into the trunk. TLC producers hover quietly, unsure whether to film or stay back. Her hands tremble as she closes the car door. The kids are already buckled in, unaware that this might be the last time they'll call the farmhouse home. Amy walks over, silent for a few moments. "I was angry at first," Amy says, her voice barely a whisper. "But now, I'm just sad. Sad for all of us." Tori wipes her cheek. "He changed, Amy. Or maybe he's always been this way, and I just didn't want to see it." From a distance, Matt watches it all unfold. He says nothing. But he knows something else no one else does. Karen left Oregon weeks ago. No goodbye, no explanation. Just a text. It's all too much. What's happening to this family? The crew is tense. There's a hushed rule no one says out loud: don't bring up Karen. When season 26 filming began, everyone expected her to arrive with Matt as usual, smiling, camera ready, coffee in hand. But week after week passed, and Karen's name disappeared from the call sheets. The truth? According to a production assistant who spoke anonymously, Karen left Matt quietly, without press, without drama. A single line in a production memo read, "Karen will not appear this season due to personal reasons. Do not contact." But whispers spread. She'd grown tired of the cameras, of the family rifts, of constantly being portrayed as the reason Amy was unhappy. And she had her own breaking point when she found out Matt had been in contact with an old flame, a woman he reconnected with at a property investor's retreat. Meanwhile, back at the farm, Zach's new relationship is no longer a secret. Her name is Isabel, and she's 31, average height, and completely unknown to fans. They met at a children's therapy workshop where both their sons attended. What started as casual chats became private texts, and those texts turned into long nights talking after the kids were asleep. Amy refuses to acknowledge Isabel in front of the cameras, but she did agree to one filmed sit-down with Zach. What was meant to be a calm conversation turned into one of the most emotionally explosive moments of the season. "You moved on like we were nothing," Amy says, holding back tears. "Do you know what that does to your children? To me?" Zach looks away. "I'm not trying to replace anyone. I'm just trying to be happy." The footage was so raw, TLC executives allegedly tried to cut the entire scene. But a clip was leaked to a private fan page weeks before the season trailer dropped, and fans went wild. Some furious, others heartbroken, all confused. Then came the bombshell that TLC couldn't hide anymore. A secret family meeting was filmed off hours without Amy's consent, without Matt's knowledge, where Jeremy, Molly, and even Jacob showed up to confront Zach. It was supposed to be a quiet night. The cameras were packed up, crew gone, lights off, but a small lens was still rolling, hidden behind a pantry cabinet at Matt's house. Jeremy had asked a trusted cameraman to keep it running. What happened next was never meant to air. Jacob, Molly, and Jeremy arrive one by one, quietly, each looking uncertain. They hadn't all been in the same room together in over a year. Zach stands near the fireplace, arms folded, already on edge. Amy is seated on the couch, visibly drained, while Matt paces by the kitchen, coffee mug in hand. Jeremy speaks first. "You can say we don't have a right to be here, but we do. You're not just hurting Tori, you're tearing the family apart." Zach glares at him. "You haven't been around, Jeremy. You left the farm behind and show up now to lecture me?" Jacob steps in, calm but direct. "That woman, Isabel, we don't know her. The kids don't know her. Yet she's already in your life like she's part of this family. It's reckless." Molly, quiet until now, finally speaks. "What hurts the most isn't the divorce," she says. "It's the fact that you didn't say anything. We found out the same way the fans did from a leaked teaser." Amy wipes her eyes but says nothing. Zach's voice breaks. "I was drowning. No one saw it, not even Tori. I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. I just drifted. And when I found someone who made me feel seen again, I couldn't walk away." Matt finally breaks his silence. "You could have handled it differently, son. You had a family who would have stood by you. But now? Even the network's calling this a meltdown. TLC's legal team is involved. They're afraid this is going to backfire hard." A tense pause fills the room. Amy finally looks at Matt, her voice low and sharp. "We shouldn't be dealing with this in front of a hidden camera. That's not family, that's exploitation." Jacob agrees. "This isn't reality TV anymore. It's a disaster." By the time the leaked footage of the Roloff family's secret meeting hit social media, it had already racked up over 3 million views in 24 hours. Clips were everywhere: YouTube, TikTok, even mainstream news. Amy's teary silence, Jeremy's accusations, Zach's broken confession. The footage was raw, unedited, real. And the fans, they were divided like never before. Some rallied behind Zach, sympathizing with his emotional burnout and desire for a fresh start. But others were furious, accusing him of betrayal, selfishness, and dragging a once-loved show into tabloid-level drama. The hashtag #CancelLPBW began trending on Twitter and Instagram. At TLC headquarters, meetings stretched into the late night. Legal advisors warned that airing the leaked scene without signed releases could expose the network to massive liability. But ratings projections told a different story. "This is the most engagement we've seen in 5 years, one executive said. "If we cut this, we lose the season." Behind the scenes, production was split. Several crew members refused to return for the second half of filming. One producer resigned entirely, writing in an email, We stopped being a family docuseries the moment we pointed a hidden camera at their pain. And just when things couldn't get messier, a quiet offer was made through a private agent. TLC approached Jeremy. They wanted to launch a spin-off series, tentatively titled The Other Roll-Offs, focused on Jeremy, Audrey, and their kids with a faith and family values theme. It would be filmed without Zach, Amy, or Matt. Jeremy was stunned. He hadn't spoken to Zach in days, and this felt like betrayal, but also opportunity. He sat in the kitchen with Audrey that night, the contract on the table. She was already smiling. "This could be ours," she said. "No more drama, just our story." He didn't answer, because even though the cameras weren't rolling, Jeremy could already feel the eyes of his family silently watching. Jeremy stands in the dim kitchen light, the spin-off contract still sitting untouched on the table. Audrey leans against the doorframe, watching him. He picks up the pen, but his hand trembles. Across town, Amy is sitting alone on the porch of her small house. The sun has dipped below the Oregon trees. She clutches an old photo of the family, back when they all still fit under one roof, before divorce, before cameras, before betrayals. Inside the roll-off farmhouse, Zach sits on the edge of the bed, staring out the window while his phone buzzes. A message from Isabel. "You okay?" He doesn't respond. And in a quiet moment rarely seen, Matt walks into the barn. He pauses by the workbench, then reaches for his old flip phone, the one he hadn't used in years. Slowly, he dials a number from memory. It rings once, twice, then, "Hello?" says a familiar voice. Matt hesitates, then speaks. "It's me." The next morning begins with a silence that feels heavier than usual. Amy sits at her kitchen table, flipping through a thick envelope just delivered by her agent. Inside, an official offer from TLC's executive board. After weeks of turmoil, the network wants to offer her an honorary farewell arc. They're preparing for the possibility that Amy might walk away from the show altogether, and they want to pre-record her final storyline before season 26 wraps. She rereads the letter again and again. Included is a check, large, respectful, but also a quiet bribe to leave without noise, to exit with dignity, to make room for the next chapter without her in it. Tears well in her eyes, because this wasn't supposed to be how it ended. Across town, Tori is sitting at her kitchen island, laptop open, video call in progress. The woman on screen is a senior editor from one of the biggest publishing houses in New York. Her offer is clear. "We believe your voice matters, Tori. Your journey as a wife, a mother, and a woman who lived inside a public marriage, it's compelling. Raw, honest. They want a memoir. A book titled, Still Standing, My Life Beyond the Farm." Tori's mouth goes dry. "I don't know if I can relive it all," she says. "You already have," the editor replies. "Now it's time to reclaim it." Meanwhile, Matt walks along the edge of the pumpkin patch with his phone to his ear. He hadn't planned to make that call. Not after everything. But last night, something shifted in him. On the other end of the line, Karen, his ex-girlfriend before Karen, a woman who had vanished from his life long before Little People Big World was ever a concept. The same woman he bumped into at the investor retreat, the same one Karen may have left over. Matt speaks slowly. "I never thought I'd need to ask you this, but would you come back to Oregon? Just for a visit?" A long pause. Then her voice, calm and sure. "I'll book a flight." The golden light of fall blankets roll-off farms. The fields are full, but the family feels emptier than ever. Inside her house, Amy paces with the TLC letter in her hand. Her heart says walk away, but something in her refuses to leave it like this. She calls a producer and requests a meeting, with the entire family present. One last family dinner to say what needs to be said on camera, they agree. That Sunday, the long dining table is set outside, under string lights and a canopy of turning leaves. Amy arrives first, dressed in deep green, steady and prepared. Zach walks in shortly after, without Isabel. Then Jeremy and Audrey, arms crossed, distant. Tori arrives alone, braver than anyone expected. Finally, Matt enters, and not alone. Karen walks in behind him, composed, polite, but met with stunned silence. The cameras roll. Amy clears her throat and begins. "I'm not accepting TLC's goodbye money," she says firmly, "because I don't want them to write the end of my story. I'll say goodbye when I'm ready, not when a producer decides it's convenient." Tori speaks up next. "I was offered a book deal," she says, glancing at Zach, "and I'm going to take it. I need to own my story, for my kids and for myself." Jeremy leans forward. So this is what we are now? Separate brands, separate contracts, competing stories? Matt interrupts. No, that's not what Amy's asking for, or Tori. Maybe this family's broken, but that doesn't mean we have to make it worse. Karen stays silent until Amy looks at her directly. You don't owe me anything, Amy says. But I hope you know what you're walking into. Karen replies gently. I didn't come here to replace anyone. I came to see if there's still something worth saving. A long pause follows. It's not agreement, but it's not rejection either. As the camera pans out, we see the family seated together one last time, fractured but still seated. No tidy resolution, no group hug, just truth, pain, and a quiet kind of strength.